We are large and in charge.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier podcast. You might have heard from my friend in the background there that Dazzler himself is here
Oh,
in
God.
full effect. Eyes are in the back of his head. Oh, this is how we do it.
Oh,
We might have to start
God.
doing one of those countdown things, will we? 10, 9, and prep ourselves. We wouldn't have thought so, though. We're professional
Oh,
enough at this stage.
Jesus.
But absolutely, as folks, as always, it's Thursday. This is Thursday Tier Talk. We've got a Premier League preview. We're going to bring you the latest news.
Or as some people call it, Thursday Shite Talk.
That too, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. But we are going to be getting the thoughts of this man as well. A lot of people thought on Monday you were getting off the hook, but yet again, I had to explain to them that you're not the Monday man anymore, that you're the Thursday man, but that you will
I'm the
be giving your
Thursday
views on
guy.
Thursday.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll be doing Beat the Bookie, our picks and tips for the weekend. Some interesting ones.
I've got a couple of interesting ones for you.
I've got some big odds as well. Big odds.
So do I.
Big odds. And before we give them out towards the end of the show, I'm just explaining to everyone: don't do any of them.
I looked at one of my bets and I thought, like most weeks, we put a bet out there and I'm thinking to myself, that looks a great bet. I looked at this and I thought, that's an awful bet. But you can be guaranteed it's the one that's gonna come in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, absolutely. Just keep you up to date as well, folks, on the Europa League. It's 1-1 with United. Obviously, the goal early on 6 from Marcus Rashford. Lovely finish as well. And then Jose Perez with the equaliser on 32. And we've just had a substitution, if I'm right, as well.
Yeah, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's come on to replace Diogo Dalot.
No surprise. Would have been your starter.
A whiff of a handball off the Betis goal.
Yeah.
It rolls down his forearm.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think it would have been harsh if it was United. Would you expect it to be chalked off?
Absolutely. The ball rolling down your forearm.
That's a bit.
Jesus. You're joking me now. Come on.
Bit harsh.
Like, it's a stonewall handball. Stonewall. But it's not the first time we've been done up like an absolute kipper in this competition this season against Spanish teams. Against Sociedad here, we got a handball given against us.
Would you dare say a conspiracy?
I might go that far. It's UEFA. That's what it is. It's UEFA and their conspiracies against us. Sinning against Manchester United for all these years they've been absolute degenerates.
Your buddy of mine here in the comments, Acers. Let's see what he has to say. Manchester United are going to signing new shirt sponsorship with 7 Up for next season. Drinking in.
They're not already.
No, they're not. And Cheap Morris is in. Mason Mount or Richarlison, Darren.
Richarlison all day long.
Did you see him last night? Poor again.
I saw Spurs last night.
Yeah, the whole team was shit, but
the whole team is horseshit. Like, let's be honest, the sooner the better Antonio Conte gets out of that stadium and lets Pochettino back in the door, the sooner the better we'll see Spurs as some sort of a force again. But until Conte goes, ain't nothing gonna kick off at Spurs. Nothing.
They're crying out for someone who just wants to play football, aren't they? Really,
right?
But this could spell trouble as well, because you've got Conte going out the door. But not only that, I think Harry Kane has to go out the door this season, doesn't he? He has to, doesn't he?
I think it's his last opportunity if he wants to maybe pick up some silverware, and if it's not all just about him and his personal records and stuff like that, if it's about what he wins as a player, then this is his last opportunity. I know we've obviously got eyes on him and stuff like that, and we're being heavily linked with him. So we shall see.
And Joanna's in the comments. She's going to be giving her predictions and her bets for the weekend. Not too bad. She did the 3-2 the other day, didn't she? The Brentford one. It's a good shoot.
Right.
But let's get into this Premier League preview. We will be talking about a couple of transfers later on as well. They came up in the news as well.
Transfers.
Harry Kane and Bernardo Silva, yeah. Absolutely.
Does the word transfer just make you feel a bit fresh?
It will this summer, hopefully, but not based on John Henry's interview the other day with the Echo. It didn't sound like there was a war chest. But But sure, we'll get into our Premier League preview. Let's start.
Yeah.
Lunchtime, Bournemouth versus Liverpool at the Vitality Stadium. Gary O'Neill, chance for Liverpool to go into fourth, even if it's only for a brief few hours, with Tottenham playing Forest at 3 o'clock.
I was going to say it might not be for a brief few hours. It might be for, it might be for the foreseeable future. If Spurs have anything to do with it.
I didn't want to tempt fate.
Well, Jesus, I mean, you got to look at the way Spurs are playing at the minute, the performances that they're putting in. It's so far away from what they should be doing with the squad they have and stuff.
It wouldn't be the first team at the bottom of the league that we've done a favour to this season. So I'm just saying.
No, and also I believe, I don't know this to be sure, but I believe you've got a particular problem with the early kickoff.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've been told by a Liverpool fan, actually.
Do you know something? I think most of the top teams have a horrible feeling about the early kickoff, don't they? It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not. It's definitely one I always stay away from a betting point of view. I don't like to, have the eggs out of the basket before lunchtime.
Yeah.
Like that's
I tend to
looking at.
Yeah, I tend to not like those ones. I don't like the Friday night ones. I don't like the evening Saturday ones. And I tend not to like the 2 o'clock Sunday ones.
It's just 3 o'clock on a Saturday that we're into.
So 3 o'clock on a Saturday or 4:30 on a Sunday would be my preference. I do like the 4:30 Sundays, as you can imagine. So Bournemouth, Liverpool, thoughts?
Yeah, I suppose like Bournemouth, obviously with a great performance last weekend away at Arsenal, a little bit, dare I say it, robbed at the last after the performance. Probably deserved to get something out of it. And I was making notes myself, as you know, because there was a sign that went up that said 6 minutes of added time and they scored in the 98th, and I just thought that was a little bit harsh on them as well. Liverpool, off the back of an unbelievable result on Sunday. I don't think anybody saw that coming, least of all me or you. We spoke about it and we thought, the game that was in it and stuff like that, Liverpool United, something can always happen, but I'd have bet me bricks that wasn't going to happen, but my God, did they take their chances. I suppose from Liverpool's point of view, all season we've been waiting to see this new front three at work, you know what I mean? It seems as if all season one or other was on or someone was off and whatever, and I think everyone lit the blue touch paper last Sunday. Salah, Diaz and Cody Gakpo were all very, very good, and I think if I'm a Liverpool fan, it's something that I look towards and I'll go, right, these guys could absolutely fire us into that fourth spot coming into the end of the season now, into the business end of proceedings, I can't see past Liverpool after Sunday, if I'm honest. I just can't. I know that the 12:30 thing is a little bit of hoodoo there with you guys, but this has to be Liverpool for me. This has to be Liverpool by a couple as well, Yeah,
I dropped a preview on the channel earlier. I did it there at 7. And dare I say, I said Liverpool 4-0. Now, I didn't want to tempt fate, but I said 4-0.
I was kind of thinking 3-0. So, and we hadn't spoken about it. So, that's where I was on it.
Yeah, and I dropped a little nice bet there as well. Your boy that you like, Darwin Núñez, to score first and Liverpool to win 4-0. 50-1.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not too bad at all. So
yes,
that was the tip.
Get in, Anthony. Get in.
Now we just have to wait. Now we just have to wait for VAR to find a way to chalk it off, do we? Or is it all
not chalking out this out? He's 25 yards out and he bends it with his left foot into the far top corner. It's the usual. It's the Anthony special.
Tonight.
Tucks in from the right hand side onto his left foot and whips it to the back stick, and in it goes into the top corner.
Absolutely.
Ball in. Fernandez gives it out to Anthony. Anthony chops back inside and bends it into the far top corner. Could take a nick off the Betis. No, it doesn't, straight in. What's a screamer? It's an absolute screamer.
2-1 to United. Anthony on 52 minutes.
What a goal. Ex-Man City goalkeeper Claudio Bravo stuck to the ground as that goes in over his head into the top corner. And that helps me with a little bet I have going, Niall.
Nice.
If you'd like to hear it. Would you like to hear it, Niall? I know it's early for Beat the Bookie.
Well, and give us your bet for tonight.
So I had a bet builder going on for tonight. And I think I've got about 4 of my 7 legs up so far.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I had United to win. They're 2-1 up. I had Rashford anytime. He scored. Anthony to have one on target. He's just scored. Over 2.5 goals. There's 3 on the
board, yeah.
On the score sheet. I'm waiting on United to win the game, and I'm waiting on 2 other things to happen. Bruno Fernandes to have a shot on target, and William Carvalho to see a yellow card for 200 blips.
Yeah, and Casemiro's close as well. If he gets the yellow, he's out for the second one, isn't he?
He's out. Is he going over? Who's he booking? Show the boy Carvalho a yellow, will you? Then I'm only waiting on Bruno.
Let's take some.
Hasn't put his hand in his pocket once tonight. This referee.
Yeah. Morris back in. Spurs ain't a 4-star, and Conte and Jose serial winners couldn't win there. It's the Spursy, not Conte. That's what. Morris
I don't know about that, Morris. I don't know about that.
Joanne, all the Arsenal fans are going into meltdown. I don't know why. That 2-2 draw, that's a good draw to take back to the Emirates. They'll beat Sporting at the Emirates.
Absolutely. And it wasn't even what you'd call, Arsenal's full side out there tonight. He made changes. The boy Turner played in goal, and he had Fabio Vieira and Jorginho started alongside Jacket, and there was a few changes.
You have to remember as well, you've one eye, you're on the Premier League title there. You've one eye at the weekend games as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Arsenal should coast through at the Emirates. And Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 3. Darren, she agreed with you there. Yeah, that's our pick.
Absolutely.
Acers reckon 7-0 to Liverpool. God. We did put 9 pounds.
Everybody go and put the money on Bournemouth. Acers has spoken.
Morris, Liverpool's biggest win of the season was the 9-0 over Bournemouth, followed by the 7-0 mauling of Man United at number 2. Yeah, big wins.
What score did you beat Rangers?
7-1, wasn't it?
7-1. All right, okay, yeah.
I think 7-1 or 7-2. I think 7-1, yeah. And Ian's what's the crack, Niall? It's Daz O'Clock, ladies and gentlemen. Chin up, Daz. There are brighter days ahead, and good things will happen, my friend.
Oh, listen, I'm not too downbeat with these things. It's a game of football at the end of the day, and there's a lot of other things going on that we we're lucky it's not us. So we got beaten. It was a bad day at the office. Back on the horse straight away.
Yeah. Everton versus Brentford.
Yeah, I got to say, watch Brentford on Monday night, and I thought they were very good. Thought Brentford were very, very good. Just the way they moved it, the press, the quality of some of the guys in the one-touch football, really like the boy Jensen and Damsgaard and stuff like that. They were very, very good. I did think they were unlucky to cough up the 2 goals, but I suppose the last one was, Raya didn't cover himself in absolute glory, and Fulham obviously were able to just nick it there right at the end, but it was kind of game over at that stage, wasn't it? It was a bit meaningless.
Yeah. Can't say anything about Tony, sure we can't.
No, and you know what? Is he takes his goal very well, obviously, but his all-round play is very, very good. It really is. His hold-up play, the way he links the midfield and the attackers, and he's that central figure in the middle, and how he brings the 2 boys outside of him into play and stuff like that. Dare I say it, plays a very similar role to Wout Weghorst, but does it even better for my money. He's the cog that makes things turn in the wheel. He's a guy that obviously knows where the goal is as well, a little bit better than Wout does. Has that penalty routine, which seems very, very successful for him.
22 from 22. 22 from 22.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Obviously, depending on how the result of his case goes with the FA, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see some big teams looking at Ivan Toney in this summer. I really wouldn't. Now, I have to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame that's hanging over him, isn't it? Because he's sensational.
Bruno just scored.
3-1. Bruno Fernandes, was that off the cross? Off the corner?
That was off the cross from the corner. So that means it's on target. So I'm only waiting on someone to be booked now.
There you go.
If the goal is given off, was it still on target? Because everyone's looking for something here. So I'm wondering what way we're.
I don't know. I presume if it's chalked off, then the effort will be chalked off. So the shot on target.
So what
will be
happens?
chalked
Luke
off.
Shaw takes the corner. Bruno runs to the front stick. Header, but not taking that off. That's fucking.
Yeah, I don't know. Looked okay to me, but
Keeper should save it. It's really poor goalkeeping. It's a head high, and Bravo goes to fist it with his two hands, and he actually ends up fisting it underneath the crossbar.
He was dodgy. He was dodgy first half with a couple of punches as well. Actually,
should absolutely. So, what's the chances on the two lads that had to have shots on target and the goal scorer? They've all three scored now. Yeah, baby. Absolutely. Somebody booked the boy Carvalho, will you?
So what are you going for here, Brentford?
I am going for Brentford, and I am going for 2-1 because it'll be hard fought. Everton have been defending an awful lot better lately, and at Goodison we know they'll make things really, really difficult for Brentford. But I just think they'll have too much of the day.
Okay. Leeds versus Brighton.
Again, I expect a huge performance from Leeds. After obviously the win early on under Javi Gracia, and then obviously then last weekend the loss to Chelsea. Now listen, they've gone to the bridge and lost 1-0. It's not like they've been absolutely battered. Although the boy Meslier did have a reasonable game, they did have chances. They probably should have got on the score sheet. Brighton again, just keep going from strength to strength. Brighton, don't they? A really good 4-0 win last weekend. I thought West Ham were going to be up for that game. I thought they'd possibly get something in that game. And Brighton just swept them aside. Just swept them aside. They really did. I think for me, it says more about Brighton necessarily than West Ham. I just think Brighton at times can be so good. And they don't necessarily have, they've got the boy Caicedo, who we know is a good footballer, and they've got the boy McAllister. But other than that, they don't have lots of huge names, but they're just such a well-oiled machine, and everybody chips in all over the park. Obviously the boy Evan Ferguson's doing well, Mitoma is doing well, Solly Marsh, Pascal Gross, guys like this that you wouldn't describe as, they'd be squad players in most teams. But for Brighton, they just shine a light every week. It's very, very good,
Yeah, it's they have a very defined system, haven't they, as well? And they all know they're well coached.
They are. They sure are. They were very well coached when Potter was there, and it's continued under De Zerbi. He's pushed them on,
Yeah, Game Killer updated us. How are you, Game Killer? Updated us earlier with the 2-1 United. I'm just catching up on the comments here.
3 now. Even better.
What's the crack with your fella? And Joanne, Arsenal were terrible. Yeah, but it's I don't know. There was changes made there and stuff like that. Tomiyasu was in. I think Reece Nelson started, if I'm right. I'm not
He did. He started on the left of a front three of Martinelli and Saka. Yeah. So there was no Odegaard either. So, I mean, you're missing out like 2 or 3 players from your starting front 3 and 4 even. You know what I mean? So it's obviously going to make things a little more difficult.
Yeah, and you're away from home at a tough place to go. I mean, Sporting is not an easy place to go to either. It's not. They're not going to roll over. So
no.
I wouldn't be.
And you know what? Sporting have been decent so far this season, in the Europa and at home and stuff like that. So yeah.
Game Killer Anthony was Robinson's bitch last Sunday. Yeah, I think look that from 1 to 11, you could say that really. It was just a crazy game. It was just like we had 8 shots on target and 7 went in. It was just a mad one.
Yeah.
And Ian, remember, gamble sensibly as always. Yeah, absolutely.
Always someone else's money.
Good man, that's the spirit. And he's back again. Having myself a glass of wine and 7-Up refreshing. Yeah. And Joanne reckons Leeds 1, Brighton 2.
That's exactly what I reckon.
That's what you reckon.
That's exactly what I reckon. Yeah. Because I think Leeds are conceding too many, and I think the big problem is, Brighton are a really well-oiled machine going forward. And I think when Leeds step up and try and apply pressure, I think that's when Brighton will just pick them off at the back, That's what I'm expecting anyway.
Yeah, and Joanne reckons Arsenal will buy Ivan Toney. I reckon there'll be a number of clubs. I wouldn't be surprised if most of the top 6 are looking to sign him.
You should score there.
Don't be panicking. You're 3-1 up. It's all good.
I know. shit's like you're putting this to bed and you can send out the reserves next week if it's 4 or 5. What a move.
Shout out to all my
Anthony gives
friends
it to
here live.
Casemiro. Casemiro gives it back to Anthony's one-on-one with the keeper, and he tries to like fully hook it over him, and he's hooked it over the bar.
There you go. And shout out to all my friends here live on the Upper Tier podcast. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Upper Tier, he's pushing for this game again. So give us
Sure
a
is.
Leicester Chelsea. It's going to be a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose Chelsea off the back of a really, really good result last weekend against Leeds, and then another good result at the midweek in against Dortmund. You know, 2 clean sheets. I mentioned this a few weeks ago, and I'm going to throw it out there because I know I mentioned it live on air, so I feel very comfortable with this. Thiago Silva got injured, and I said this could be really, really positive for Chelsea. Rather than a negative, because I said if you've got Badiashile, if you've got Fofana, if you've got Koulibaly, stick them into a back three with Reece James and either Cucurella or Chilwell, and you've got a great base to go on and stuff like that. That's what they've done. They kept 2 clean sheets, and all of a sudden they picked up, 2 results, and I can see them doing it again this weekend. With Leicester.
I think the big thing you mentioned last time as well is they just need to start putting the ball in the back of the net more than anything.
They do, but
as you said, they had been performing, they just couldn't score.
Yeah, but if I know I'm going to keep a clean sheet every week, I only need 1. So that's how many league titles are won on the back of league 1-0 win and stuff like that. I think that's important as well, and I think that solidity which they haven't had all season at the back. Again, for me, I think Silva's a good player, but I think this system suits Chelsea a little bit better with the squad they have.
Yeah, Fofana back in there as well as huge. He was
huge.
He was very unlucky.
We know how good this kid is.
He was playing very well last start of the season, wasn't he? Till he got the injury.
Oh, he's a super talent, this kid. He really, really is. And it can't be forgotten how good a player he is. What
are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, I think Chelsea will nick it again 1-0. I think another clean sheet. I think they'll nick something on the break. Now I think Leicester will have chances, but I do think Chelsea will nick it 1-0 and continue their run of clean sheets and results.
Yeah, when you think about some of the talent that Leicester have there, the reliance on Maddison is madness, isn't it? When you think about it, once they lose him, they go very, very blunt. And they've got some great players there.
I think the boy Barnes has done a great job for them as well. But I think with Vardy's goals drying up, that's been huge for them. Yeah. I'm a really big fan of the boy Kelechi Iheanacho, but he's not an out-and-out 9. He's a 10 for me. He drops short, he links the play, holds the ball up, he brings others around him into it. And I really genuinely think he's a very, very good player. But he's not a 9. His finishing isn't good enough for a 9. I would like to see him, and I said it a few weeks ago, get a run in the team with him and Patson Daka. It's like, I just kind of feel like he's kind of just popped off the other side of the hill. And I think he's on the wane there slightly. And I'd like to see Iheanacho and Daka, with a Maddison in behind and with a Harvey Barnes and stuff like that, and really get them in full flow. But Leicester's big problem this year has been conceding goals, and they've conceded way too many of them.
Yeah, when you think about the personnel they've lost at the back as well, and the madness of kind of
absolutely
what they've got in as well, it's a bit crazy,
Yeah.
Tottenham versus Forest.
I suppose you keep looking at Spurs and you're thinking, there's a result coming. There has to be a result coming based on what they've got out there on the pitch. Kane, Son, Kulusevski and stuff like that. I didn't think they were great last night. I got to be honest. I saw the highlights. I was really disappointed with them.
I watched
at home, you're 0-0 with you're 1-0 down from the first leg against AC Milan. And you've got an opportunity to go out and put your stamp on this, and they were just miles off it. They really, really were. I was just stunned, I have to be honest. But again, I wasn't like I'm not a fan of Antonio Conte at all. When he was mentioned at United, I said absolutely not. Don't want him near the place. He's anti-football. I think you've seen it with Spurs. He's devoid of any sort of personality to start with, and then his tactics are archaic at this stage. They really are. He's miles off what he needs to be if he's going to manage the top of the English game.
You're saying it last night, needing a goal and taking off an attacking player and bringing on a central defender. Like it just beggars belief, really. Crazy. And the boy Romero again, we spoke about him I think last week as well, didn't we? That he's kind of lost his mind at Spurs, hasn't he? Really, and that was an horrendous tackle last night to send him off. Horrendous tackle.
Listen, the boy Romero is. Sorry, there's a little bit of argy-bargy going on here. There's a really short back pass. And the really short back pass is between Bruno and Claudio Bravo. And Bruno's chasing him down and he goes to slide and get the ball. It's a really short back pass. Does he get there? It's kind of like a 50-50.
Just got
now,
booked.
He's just got booked. Do you know what? He pulls out. He goes over and then he pulls out. He pulls his right leg back out of the way. He's gotten booked for it. The boy Bravo's gone down like he's been shot. He's ex-Man City. I'm not shocked at all. But Bruno's been booked.
Yeah, so, I don't think when you're talking about Bruno Fernandes, you could talk about other players going down like they've been shot.
Well, that's true enough, actually. Yeah. You know what? I should. And to be honest, it's a problem he has all the time, not just last Sunday.
Roll that back, Calais.
Yeah, no, it's a problem he's had. He's had continuously at United. It really is.
Bruno, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow.
They're looking at this. Oh, it's gone out. We're gone. Right. Okay. Thank God for that. Thought at one stage we're thinking, will we give him a red? You're going, lads. We don't need this in my life. Come on.
No, absolutely not. So Tottenham Forest.
Yeah, Tottenham Forest. I think Spurs will get something. I just can't see them being as bad again as they have been in the last few weeks. I think they'll get 2, and I think Forest will get 1. But again, I think it's going to be horrible to look at. I think it's going to be, nervy. I think Forest will have a lot of play. What's that?
Don't know. No idea.
Something. I have no idea what that is.
Probably something flipped over. The wind at the moment is crazy here anyway.
It might be, yeah. It might be something, all right. Sorry, lost me trying to thought there. The boy Brennan Johnson, I have to say, has been absolutely unbelievable. He's a guy we spoke early on in the season about. And it took him a little bit of time to settle in the Premier League. But I think the last few weeks we've really started to see, the best of him. He's been very, very good. And added goals and assists and stuff like that to his game and really helped Forest. So I think Spurs will win this, but I think they'll only just nick it 2-1.
Cool. Take a few comments to move down to that, Joanne. I never doubted Sporting. I knew they would play well when everyone else were laughing about them. Yeah, absolutely. Morris saying Chelsea to get molested.
Jesus.
And Acers was loving the reaction for demolition of United by Sky pundits. Fantastic, brilliant entertainment. Yeah, I think all round it was pretty good. And then Acers, so are Qatar going to be pulling out of the sale of United? I don't think so. I think there's a few twists and turns on that. I think it's the Glazers playing a little bit of hardball with them, knowing that the money is there and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I doubt it. I did look at it today. I mean, there was this morning there was talk that the deal was going to be wrapped up within a month. Then at lunchtime, it came out again then that they were potentially going to walk away. But I think both sides are just playing a bit of hardball. Joanne, Barnes don't play as well without Maddison. Yeah, he doesn't. There is a bit of a drop off there, but Maddison's a very focal point for them. But Harvey Barnes, he's a super player.
Very, very good player.
And Ian, come on, you Spurs. You're on your own there, you're on your own there, I'd say. And Joanne back in. Tottenham 2, Forest 1. I think that's what you predicted there. You're spot on tonight, the 2 is. And Joanne, I don't like Conte either. I don't think anyone likes him. I don't think even Chelsea fans like Conte.
No.
I think they can appreciate what he does and what he's achieved and stuff like that. But did I read today as well that he hasn't won a knockout match in the Champions League bar up in Scotland against Celtic? Is that right?
That's what I believe. I read it myself. It was last night after the Spurs game. He hasn't got through a knockout tie and hasn't won a knockout game. Now, that's a scary statistic for a guy who's managed where he's managed. Really scary.
Crazy. Palace City, the 5:30 game.
I don't think this is going to be as easy as most people think it's going to be. Yeah, I think we've seen it before. Selhurst Park's an a horrible place to go to, especially under the lights. The weather's going to be absolute dog shit as well, don't forget, which will play a part. There's a lot of those City lads will not fancy Selhurst Park on a cold, wet,
might not go ahead.
miserable, snowy Saturday 5:30 kickoff. I think Palace will frustrate the daylights out of City. I really do. And I'm actually tipping Palace to get a point out of this. I think this could be 1-1.
It's a big shout, isn't it? It's a big shout.
Yeah.
And Acers, FA should have banned
I'm here for the
Bruno.
big calls.
FA should have banned Bruno for touching the linesman. Nah, I don't know.
I think if he watched the game, he'd understand that actually it was the linesman that touched Bruno first.
Yeah, he grabbed Bruno
which
first,
was highlighted by Darren McGallagher on Monday morning in the ref watch. So you're talking out the rear end again.
We'll get on to talking about some of that stuff once we get through the preview. So then we move into Sunday, 2 p.m. Fulham Arsenal.
Yeah, obviously Arsenal off the back of a great result the other night. They would have rested a couple of boys this evening for the game against Fulham. Fulham went away on Monday night against Brentford, found it difficult. Thought Brentford were very good, as I said to you. I don't know whether you seen the highlights of the game like myself, but the woodwork was struck 3 times by free kicks. Did you see this?
Yeah, did you?
It was at one stage, it was like, I thought it was some sort of a competition between Pereira and Tony, but the quality was amazing on show. Fulham are great at the Cottage. They have been all season. We did well to get out there with 3 points. You guys dropped a couple of points there early on in the season. I think Arsenal do. Yeah, I think Arsenal do something very similar to they did last week. I think Arsenal will nick this. I think they'll nick it 2-1. I think it won't be convincing, but it'll be just about getting over the line and getting 3 points. And if they do and City drop points, I think it starts to open up a little bit of a gap there.
Yeah, I looked at Fulham the other night against Brentford, and I know that normally when you play Brentford, it's a high energy type of game. It's an emotional high energy type of game. But I thought Fulham, they just
fans at that community stadium are unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like unbelievable. They really are.
But I just I looked at Fulham and I thought, are they getting is the season catching up on them a little bit? I
don't think so. I think
tired.
Yeah, and you know what? Listen,
and rightly so.
You probably week to week can name that Fulham team, right? So I mean, the boy Leno plays week to week. So does Kenny Tete. So does Anthony Robinson on the other side. The boy Paulinho was suspended. I think he's a super footballer. Andreas Pereira has been very, very good for them. I would say at 10 million, he's been a snip. And then Mitrovic and stuff like that. So he's used a really small squad for most of the season, Marco Silva. I just think Brentford was one of those games that they can do that to anybody. We've seen them do it to United. They've done it to Liverpool before. So I wasn't shocked that they were able to do it to Fulham. I think Fulham will be much better this week at home against Arsenal. But I just think Arsenal are in that vein of form of just getting over the line.
Yeah. Good show. United Southampton.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, we should have this game, almost stitched up at the minute. We're 3-1 up. There's 15 minutes to go. If you could nick another, the tie is over pretty much, isn't it? Yeah. Which would be great because then we could go and focus on Southampton and getting 3 points at home and trying to stretch that gap between us and fourth place and stuff. After last week's result. And again, depending on how results go, you don't know whether that gets you even further away and stuff, or you might even catch up a little bit on City and stuff. So it's important. I couldn't back against us at home this weekend. I couldn't against Southampton. I feel like we'll score a couple of goals, and I don't think Southampton have 2 or 3 in them. So I'm gonna say United 3-1.
Cool. And West Ham Aston Villa.
Yeah, the Happy Hammers obviously went away tonight and got a good result away in Greece in the Europa, but again, had to play a pretty full-strength side for them. And we know after the travelling, Greece a 4-hour flight away. It's not next door. Won't have been an easy trip for them. They'll be back probably either late tonight or early tomorrow morning.
This has always been West Ham's Achilles heel, the Thursday, Sunday.
Absolutely. And I think that'll make life very, very difficult. I think Villa have been a bit tidier in recent weeks. and have had a couple of clean sheets, which has helped them massively. And I think Villa could get something out of this. I think maybe I might go with the draw, but I do think Villa will get something. So I think I'll go with 1-1 in this one.
1-1 draw.
Yeah.
And then we rounded out 4:30 Newcastle versus Wolves.
Yeah, this is where I see Newcastle getting back on track. And this is the game I think Newcastle have kind of been waiting on at home against somebody not very, very high up in the table. Although I will say Julian Lopetegui's done an excellent job with Wolves. Making them way more solid at the back and giving them a base to go and nick games 1-0 and stuff like that. Now, this is exactly what we
dragged them out of the relegation zone as well. Right,
you look at them now; they're 13th in the table. Actually, with a couple of wins, they could be up nearly a 10th. And they've been value for it. I think even when we played, when we got a result and stuff like that, they've done all right. I think Lopetegui's made them very hard to beat, which we expected, and I think we'll see them play a little more expansively next season after he has a little more time and is able to make a couple more changes to that squad and stuff like that. I think Newcastle are going to win this though, and I am going to say good save. Claudio Bravo just made a save from Anthony. That's 2 he should score, and both chances are easier than the goalie scores. The goalie scores, he lets it go. That's 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he's given the keeper a chance. Getting out, in fairness, it's a great save. He shouldn't give him a chance. I'm going to go Newcastle here, and I'm going to go Newcastle 2-1.
2-1. So the reverse of 2-1. Right?
The reverse of Joanne, and I've highlighted that in my bet for later. I have a couple of bets later on for us, using the teams we talked about through the game, and also using some of the players and stuff like that.
Yeah, let me take some comments here. Joanne, Conte looks like he has a key in his back and needs it winding up to get him to smile. That man's never smiled in his life.
Ever.
Even when they're winning, and even when you see him running and celebrating and fist pumping, he doesn't smile. He's sour. Like Conte is like a waxwork model, no movement. Yeah, absolutely. It's like someone who got a lot of Botox or something, isn't he?
He's battered and haggard looking.
Yeah. A few players off Arsenal have got the flu. Should be all right for the weekend, though, hopefully.
Yeah, you'd think at this stage, if they missed out on Thursday, they've some sort of a chance for Sunday, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the position you're in at the moment, you'd go out on the pitch even with flu, wouldn't you? You'd get it done, find a way.
I know Richarlison would.
I'd enjoy seeing Forest beat Spurs, wouldn't we all? We'd stay in fourth, and that'd be quality there. Good to have you in there tonight. Let's have a quick chat about. I just want to get your thoughts on Sunday. A lot of stuff coming out of it. A lot of finger pointing on a lot of drama, but really it was a capitulation by the whole team. Let's be honest here.
Absolutely.
But a lot of mudslinging at Bruno, and we found out after the fact he wasn't asked to be getting subbed off, and he was getting a lot of shit over that, and it wasn't true. But also Weghorst was getting a lot of crap as well over touching the sign, and you see Aldo today on Twitter shithousing it. He was out and he was cleaning the sign with a cloth and all, and the kind of stuff that naturally goes on. And there was a lot of drama about that, to the point the boy came out and made a statement as well, which I didn't think he really needed to make a statement. I didn't think it was that big a deal. I think what happens is
it wasn't the big, but it wasn't the big deal. Yeah, and people made a big deal of it, and that's why he had to open his mouth and say, "No, I wasn't a Liverpool fan. That had nothing to do with it. It was something with Virgil van Dijk from the national squad."
Yeah, but they also clarified as well that actually wasn't true, because Van Dijk was already gone down the tunnel at that stage, if you go back and look at it. But that's neither here nor there. Regardless of what it wasn't a big deal. I just think it was just a lapse in concentration.
It's another.
Other people are doing it. Like,
get in, and Weghorst has made a 4. That's a great piece of work, actually, and I'm going to call him out. So Facundo Palestri is on the pitch about 2 minutes. He just came on for Anthony. The ball came in from the corner and they played it to him on the edge of the box. He stood up by 3 defenders and uses his left foot to go towards the right corner flag and goes all the way around him in the loop till he opens the ball up on his right foot, squares it for Scott McTominay, who gets an effort on target, and it's popped back out by Claudio Bravo into Weghorst, and he can't miss, which is 4-1, tie over. This is what I expected. You know,
There
this
had to
is
be
this
there
is
had
a
to be a reaction, didn't there? There had to
yeah,
be
and
a
this
reaction.
is absolutely this is a serious piece of work by the boy Palestri. 1, 2. He's got 2 Betis players, goes around them, comes back in onto his right foot, cuts it back. McTominay with the effort and Wout into the empty goal. It's great work for the boy Palestri. He's on the pitch literally, 90 seconds when he does this.
He's come on a few
Um,
this season and looked really good.
right, and I think, and I know Ten Hag has mentioned it, that the likes of Palestri and Elanga in particular weren't getting the game time that he wanted to be able to give them. But listen, this is another goal and another involvement for him and more minutes on the pitch and stuff. And he's highly thought of in his home country in Uruguay. He was at the World Cup with Uruguay, so he's no mug, this kid.
Yeah. So give us your quick thoughts on Sunday. I mean, obviously it's washed away a little bit now, and
I suppose when you look at it, like everything that could have gone right for Liverpool went right, and everything that could have gone wrong for United went wrong. And it all just happened in a teacup in the perfect storm. And it was one of those days. I'm not overthinking it. I'm not thinking about, our centre back pair, and I'm not looking at every player individually and going, is he good enough? Isn't he good enough? It's one game in a season of now, and I know this for a fact. We've played more games in Europe than any team this season, right? We've played the most out of the teams in the top 4 leagues in Europe. We've played more games than anyone, right? Now, that's not an excuse. That's a statistic. And I'm all going to say to you, that is, I won't judge a player on one game. I'll judge them over the course of the season. And whether that's, Varane, or whether that's Casemiro, or whether that's Bruno,
it's everyone.
It's everyone, right? And that's the way I would. I'm not very reactionary like that. I don't see somebody take a bad touch and all of a sudden say he's a shite bag, take him off. That's not what I am as a football fan. I'm a little more considered than that. And I don't even like calling lads out after their first season in the league, because I know how difficult it is to settle in the Premier League, and I know how difficult and how many good footballers we've seen not settle very quickly, but turn into very, very good footballers. And, you've got to be patient.
Yeah, so look at Rashford last season, who was horrendous, and fans calling for him to be sold, and he was going to leave, and all this kind of thing. Look at him this season, absolute revelation.
Let's give him to PSG. Was I think what we said? Yeah. Let's give him away. Just get rid of him. Get him out of there. He's
fans
a bad
talking
influence.
about driving him to Paris. Fans talking about driving him to Paris.
Oh God! Do you know what the scary part of that is? The fans that were offering to drive and live in their mother's box room and don't have cars.
It's always the way, isn't it? It's always
the way. Isn't it? Isn't it just?
Acer's back in the comments. Liverpool players should now be aiming for third. It in Klopp sights. Yeah, well, I think, look, we're not going to dwell on fourth. If we get fourth place at the weekend now and then, we'll look to push on and stuff like that, But, I mean, the priority is just to pick up as many points as we can, and let's see how next Wednesday goes against Real Madrid. We'll see what happens. Just to let people know, we will be doing a match reaction on Saturday afternoon to the Bournemouth game, and I will have a preview for the Madrid game going out at the weekend as well. And, of course, I'll be back on Monday with the mashup, as we always do.
I think Liverpool getting third spot depends on 2 things. It depends on how they keep this run going, let's say. And if we're talking about it as a run, how they keep it going and hit it. And, you're getting a yellow with that. And also, how far we go into, say, the FA Cup and the Europa, which then starts to stockpile games for the end of the season, which could see us then, slow up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, third and fourth is only really, whether you come third or you come fourth, is really only banter for a day, really. If your focus is that you're cementing yourself in the top 4, then your focus should be to land the Europa League and land the FA Cup, more trophies.
Isn't it 1.7 million or something per space? Is that what I...
It's nothing.
Chicken feed. Wouldn't even get us pair for that.
Nearly a week's wages. We wouldn't even get out of bed for that.
Nope.
Ian's back in the comments. I don't get into any football politics. Just enjoy a good game.
Absolutely.
So you're not saying, come on, you Spurs earlier, no? We're back through that now. Oh, good man, that's what I like to hear. Sit on the fence.
Mind those splinters up your arse, though.
UEFA the other day came out and they've agreed to take responsibility for what happened last June at the Champions League final. They're going to refund the tickets. But there's also, I think, either a 23-point recommendation that Spirit Shankly and a couple of the other fan base stuff that are representing fans have put in place, and they've been involved in the meetings with UEFA, which is really encouraging to hear. What was your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like, I suppose in one sense it's it's something that the club have decided to do, and it's something that I actually, the first thing I thought about it was, they're going to pay you back what you paid for your ticket from the club, let's say, or from UEFA. But we all know what people pay for those tickets is going to be completely different to what was actually paid for them.
Of course.
Plus, don't forget, like, if you bought a ticket, you now get refunded for it, even though you sold it on, maybe. That was the first thing that came to my mind. I thought, what? This is a bit nuts.
Yeah.
I said
that the lad at the fence holding the ticket is not the guy who necessarily gets the refund.
Right? Now, how nuts is that? Like, that's nuts, but that's what's going to happen. 100%. We know this is true. Because we know what tickets go for in the black market and stuff like that, and it's just,
especially for Champions League final, especially a Champions League
right
final.
So at that stage, I kind of think maybe what they should have done was, rather than filtering money back into the black market system like that, maybe they should have given, if the money raised through ticket sales was, say, 100,000, let's just say, right? Then they should have used that 100,000 and put it into, one of the local funds and foundations in Liverpool, or given back to, rather than giving to people who are maybe, again, as we say, not there on the night, guys that were sitting in the boozer and the local boozer having a couple of pints and now had a free night out on top of what they made off this ticket and stuff, and you're going, this is a bit mental,
Yeah, it'll be an interesting the way they kind of find a way to disperse it and stuff like that. And I think that's why there's been a lot of kickback from fans as well, that it hasn't gone far enough, because I mean, obviously your ticket price is one thing, but imagine what you paid there for a hotel and flights and everything that
absolutely
weekend, mental, so
absolutely. And I think what's the general price on a ticket? Is it 100 quid for Champions League final?
I'd say probably about 250. It's quite
general
steep.
Sale.
Yeah, it's quite steep. Yeah, because you have to remember, look at how many times it goes through and all. I'd say it's quite high. Champions League final be fairly high, all right.
I don't know. Well, I don't. I'd be interested to find out. That's something I might try.
We'll look it up. We'll look it up. But yeah, I'd say it'd be fairly high. Because you're talking about UEFA are involved.
Yeah, but don't forget, it's also a ballot. So it's more to do with luck than people having the money to pay for it. So that's where I feel like they would keep the price down so that more people can go into the ballot. And then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the only thing about it though is the ticket allocations are quite small. Remember,
they are, because there's too many blokes in suits,
sponsors and all sorts of stuff.
They've taken it away from the fans. It's fucking ridiculous, really is. But that's UEFA all over,
Yeah, absolutely. But it'll be interesting to see the way it unfolds. It's not finished yet. They're still at the table, still discussing stuff. I think this is a first move by UEFA that they really had to make. They were looking really bad, and also they were getting a lot of heat last week from Liverpool fans that the vote had gone in there where they were voting that guy back in again. Celerin or something, is a Celerin or something like
Alexander Seferin.
Yeah, I spoke about it there last week. Here's an interesting one. Manuel Pellegrini was talking before the game tonight. I don't know if you've seen the quote, but I'll give you the quote. The quote is, England is the best league, but the best football is played in Spain.
Right.
Clearly.
Like, listen, I think it's a very, very different style of football. I think technically there's a lot of, go on, kid. Go on, hit it. Get in. Oh, unlucky Palestri. Still alive. I'd like the kid to get on the score sheet.
You should do watch alongs.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't do it for Sunday. Jesus Christ. I think on Sunday, I'm sure we have to put the caveat in. Everybody needs to remember to drink responsibly. Yeah. But myself and Brody were on the couch watching the match, and Andrew was on the other side. My wife was in the other room listening to me shout with the TV as I generally would. And of course, the game started, and there was lots of shouting. It was, "Come on, Reds!" And we were giving it all that. And then you're like, "Oh, Bruno missed a header," and then, "Oh God, a save from Alisson." And then the goal went in before half time, and I suppose there was a few more expletives thrown out. And then in the second half, I think she said the noise just started to dip, and just die, to the point where she was like, "Why is there no more noise from that room? They're not soundproof doors or anything. Where's the noise coming from?" And she came in and she looked at the screen. No, I didn't see her at this stage because we've got an island. So when she's behind the island, I can't see her. And she came in and she saw it was 5-0. And she just walked over to the kitchen and got the bottle of Jameson and just came over and put it on the arm of the chair and went, "Knock yourself out." I went, "I think I might."
Yeah, I was on you. I was on you on WhatsApp, and in fairness, now I'm one of those fans. Most people will tell you I don't really go in hard. I don't level it like. I've been known sometimes in these situations to be quite a gentleman, really. But I messaged you a 3-0.
I would agree with that.
I did message you a 3-0, and I did say this could get embarrassing, and you said embarrassing. It's already fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, I said, have we not got there already? Like, I was like, Jesus
but
Christ.
Little did we know. Match just ended there, 4-1 to Man United. Done and dusted. Betis on the beach for the rest of the season, bar the La Liga, but certainly Europa League.
This allows them to push on for fourth spot in the league. The only thing that
could sound familiar. That could sound familiar next Wednesday as well. Next Wednesday, that could sound.
The only thing I'm not too happy with here is the boy Carvalho didn't get booked. Yeah. No Betis player got booked.
Yeah, so that let you down on your bet. But
that's the only one that's let me down on my bet. Yeah, I had 6 or 7 legs on that, and only one let me down. I might get a money back or something, will he?
Yeah, what did you make yesterday? We dropped a little short on the channel yesterday for it. Kyle Walker, after the Newcastle game last weekend, was out.
I haven't seen any of this. Now I saw a headline or a clip, or not a clip. I saw a headline, and then I saw a link to something, but I haven't actually looked in yet.
You would have seen a short on the Upper Tier podcast channel, of course.
Well, of course, which was your short rather than seeing the actual evidence, or you know what I mean. Yeah. But what's the general? Was he caught touching someone up in a nightclub, or is this?
No, apparently there's the CCTV footage of the club where he was in there, and allegedly, they're saying he exposed himself twice while grinding up against women. That's what the story that came out. Now, when we think of Kyle Walker, that's not too far-fetched either, because we know that, like, during COVID, there was sex parties attended to and all sorts of stuff, so it's not beyond the realms.
It's not a complete stretch.
But there's a police probe into it at the moment, apparently, because apparently it was reported or something like that. So
I completely get that footballers are human, and like, depending on how many clubs are open last weekend, this probably happened in a number of places, right? Let's say, but it gets brought to light because he's a Premier League footballer, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I also have to look and go, why would you be so stupid, knowing that in the position you're in, you need to be Casper the Friendly Ghost white. You know what I mean? You've got to be whiter than white. And and I mean, let's not look too far to his left back colleague as well. One Benjamin Mendy, like, you've just got to be so careful. It's It's really stupid. And again, like Walker's, how old's Walker? What's he, about 32?
Yeah, 31, 32, yeah.
Yeah, he's 31, 32. Like, listen, we all know what's going on at 31, 32. I'm not even going to lie about it. So, I know what it was like. I know what was going on. But yeah, you've got to be smarter. You just have to be smarter.
What I know it's all alleged at the moment, but what do you make of that situation at City? It's kind of like dare I say, it tends to be a little bit loose, doesn't it? Kind of what goes on around that. I mean, we know about Grealish and his partying and all these various things. We know
I
the stuff
definitely
that
don't
went on
think
with
it's
Foden and stuff and all. And
I definitely don't think it's Eric Ten Hag tight. Let's put it that way.
yeah.
I think Pep gives him an awful lot of freedom. Maybe more than he needs to. I know he likes to give them freedom to express themselves on the pitch, but I think the problem is they're taking that one step too far and they're expressing themselves everywhere.
I see. I wonder, does he give them that freedom? I wonder, is it very, very controlled in a bubble? And every so often, one of these guys has to burst out of that bubble and let rip. I'm not too sure, because I can't imagine. I wouldn't think, like, Pep's ferocious at times. I can't imagine him being that loose. I think what happens is
I don't think he's ferocious in a sense of, like, I don't see him going in on the lads in the change room. And I see him being very passionate about points, but I don't ever see him, like, I couldn't imagine him giving you the hurdler, like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like the Grealish
I even
situation was an interesting one,
the
wasn't it?
conversation with Cancelo was like, Cancelo going in saying, listen, why am I playing? He's going, well, because I didn't pick you. And him going, well, I want to play, and him going, well, that's tough. And well, then I'm leaving, and him going, all right, see you later. Like, I don't imagine there was.
Speaking of that situation, did you see the report on that today that apparently he's on the way back, that he's no longer welcome at Bayern? That's the talk I was reading today, apparently.
Well, I think what they've said is it's unlikely that they're going to make the deal permanent. But that could be for a number of reasons. We have to remember that. Bayern are a huge club. Something that was brought to my attention last night through our own group chat was the depth in their squad is unbelievable, right? Like, scary good. And can they afford to pay 50 to 60 million quid for a guy who may not play every week? I would say that's a stretch, because a lot of what they brought in, they spent good money on, but they haven't maybe overpaid on certain players, and they've been clever in the market. And we know they can blow out and they can spend big bucks on players, but I don't think they're going to spend big bucks on someone who may or may not play week to week. I think that's where they'd be picking someone up on a free, or, when they'd be going in somewhere with a year left on someone's contract and saying, listen, we'll take this guy off your hands for extra amount of money, as they did with Jan Sommer recently and stuff. And, I think for Cancelo to go in there, he needed to be first choice right back and to be playing unbelievable football week to week to make that move happen. And it hasn't really happened yet for him at Bayern, unfortunately.
Ian back in, don't follow any team. And Asus is in. Real Madrid said that they won't be doing refunds to fans. I think from Real Madrid's point of view, it's a smaller situation because some Real fans got caught up in all that melee. But most of the Real fans were in because they were on the other side of the stadium that had access.
But don't forget, the only reason that Real aren't going to give the fans a refund is they're still adding to this Kylian Mbappe puff for the summer and hoping that things go well.
And it probably helps that they won as well.
Right. The bump on the head didn't feel so bad when they lifted the trophy, right?
Maybe, yeah. And Ian back in. Paul Bradshaw lives for these moments in football that make history. Absolutely. Shout out to Ian and Paul, of course. And Ian, is that the Premiership trophy? No, it is indeed. Got that from my main man, Mark, our resident referee. You can check him out on Facebook, Hogan Elite Trophy Hire. If you're looking to hire trophies for that special occasion, hit him up on Facebook and he'll sort you out. He has a whole litany of all the different trophies.
Does he have a Carabao Cup there, do you reckon?
I think he does have a Carabao Cup. I think he does. I think he has them all. He has a Sam Maguire. I think he might even.
No, I'm talking real sport.
Yeah, no, but he has a whole load of trophies. I think he has. I'm not sure. Does he have a Ryder Cup? I think he has, and I think he has a Claret Jug. He has a few. Like,
That was my dig at Bogball there. There's lots of things I hate in this world, but there's not much that's up there with the GAA. Now, not the game, the association. With the GAA, it's right up there on my list. It's on the list of Darren, or the list of Dazzler.
Having a dig in an amateur association, how dare you?
Right. Fucking hell. Now, just wait, referee. Just wait till it gets to 13 points on him. Then blow the whistle real quick so no one else can take a score. So we can get another 75,000 in next week and cream off the top. And the boys then can go into Tesco at 5:30 on a Monday morning and stack the fucking shelves. Get fucked.
There's been a few cars looked at, though, hasn't there been, on garage forecourts as well? That wouldn't lead you to believe that these guys are going in stacking shelves. Just saying. But I'm not going to say any more than that. Talk to me about. I want to get your thoughts on PSG. Obviously, crashing out last night. Bayern Munich.
I watched part of the game, and I watched the back end of it because by the time I got home it was 9:15. So I think I seen about the last half an hour, and I just looked at the PSG team, the PSG bench, and I just looked and I thought, what the fuck are they doing? You know, like, genuinely, what are they doing? You've a guy like Kylian Mbappe who's on £1 million a week, right? Tremendous footballer. But, you know, it's like having a Ferrari and putting apple juice into it. When you've got some of the guys around him that are going to bring him to a Champions League. Like, for me, for my money, I think they'd be mental not to sell him. And I know that's a stretch, and most people think, why would you sell him? Well, you're selling, you're getting 150 to 200 million all day long, right? And that then you can go and start to build something. PSG, for my money, are going about this the whole wrong way. Messi should never have been bought. You know, Neymar shouldn't get a kick. Again, should be sold. There's the door. See a good look. Let's get these really high earners off the wage bill. There's lots of players. Like, let's not forget the likes of Christopher and Nkunku, who will end up at Chelsea this summer. 65, 70 million worth of a player. PSG player. Came through the PSG academy. Was let go. There was no game time for a guy like Christopher and Nkunku, right? And you're just thinking, that's exactly what's wrong with the setup. Now, I watched last night, and actually, I seen it a little bit of him in the first leg as well. I don't know whether you've watched this kid. His name is Warren Zaire Emery. He's a 17-year-old lad that plays in the centre of midfield for PSG. He came on last night. He's an unbelievable footballer. I wanted to try and mention this kid tonight because I just think he's going to be one of the biggest talents in world football. And I know that's a stretch, but I think when we watch English football and we watch the English national team and stuff, and we've seen Jude Bellingham, everyone's going, oh, Jude Bellingham, Jude Bellingham, Jude Bellingham, Jude Bellingham. This kid will be absolutely as good as Jude Bellingham and will cost you a quarter of what Bellingham goes for, right? A quarter. So he's a kid, for me, teams need to be looking at, you know. The boy Hugo Ekitike, who looked like he was on his way to Newcastle earlier on in the season, and in the end ended up at PSG. Again, a really, really super player. This is what PSG need to be doing. PSG need to be buying young French players, bring them into the academy system, bring them through the academy and teaching them the PSG way to play, not the latest manager's way to play. This is the problem. And this is something I talk about with Bayern all the time. And what I love about Bayern is Bayern don't buy players for each and every manager. Bayern buy players to suit the system they play. Right? Yeah. They fit the Bayern Munich blueprint, and then they get a manager in that can use the blueprint that they're giving them and tweak it slightly and do the, you know, and they're very, very clever. And you look at how little wastage is what I would call it at Bayern. And when they spend money, they spend it well. They've obviously had a look at the boy Cancelo. They've said he's not for us, not at that money. You know,
when you look at Bayern, you're right. When you look at Bayern Munich over the last decade, they pretty much play the same way. They pretty
right?
much tactically set up the same
You
way.
know what you're going to get from Boyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when they do it well, it's so hard to play
Yeah.
against, They're tight at the back. They're really, really aggressive in the midfield with the likes of Goretzka and Kimmich, who, as well as being aggressive and having great engines on them, they can also play great football. And then they've beautiful attacking players, Gnabry, Coleman, Mane, Thomas Muller. You've obviously have Lewandowski over the last few years. Musiala's come in. This kid is going to be absolutely huge. And they're doing things. They have a blueprint. I think at PSG, when things don't work, they go back and rip the blueprint up and write a new one. And then when that doesn't work, they go and rip it up. We'll throw more money at it. And they do remind me very much of United at times. When Ferguson left, we tried lots of different things. We tried Van Gaal, we tried Mourinho, and we kept going and retrying things over and over again. And this is what PSG have done since the takeover. They've just tried different things constantly in the hope that something's gonna stick, rather than looking at something and saying, okay, and this is what they did with the boy Campos that came in. He was supposed to be finding a lot of the young European gems, the Nuno Tavares, the Vitinhos, the Emres, the Hugo Ekitikes, right? And this is the absolute right idea, by the way. This is the right idea what to do. But it's very tough for these guys to get game time when you've got Marco Verratti, you've got Messi, you've got Mbappe, and you've got Neymar all in front of them. So they don't grow and develop as footballers. Right.
Yeah, and then as we've explained before on the podcast, in the early stages of the season, then you've got the power of those players there as well in terms of,
and that's got to be a huge job to try and keep harmony in that dressing room. Like if I'm and genuinely, people will be like, why would you do that? If I'm involved, if I'm in charge of PSV, I tell the boy Campos, you're staying. And and we're gonna try and build with these young friends. Like if United, Liverpool, Chelsea, City are all looking in France for these nuggets, these golden nuggets, right? Then PSG are playing against them week to week. They've got a bigger option.
They should know.
They should know who they are, right?
Yeah.
And they should be getting in there first.
It's an easier move as well.
It's an easier move. They speak the language. You're probably not uprooting your family and the whole shooting match. So this is very, very easy. I mean, if PSG did what Bayern have done over the last number of years, which was cherry pick the best players from their league, right? They go to Dortmund, they go to Leipzig, they go to Freiburg, they go to
did the same thing even for their manager. Did the same thing even for their manager. Near along their players,
and just keep rolling, they'd get somewhere. But the fact when if I get four brushstrokes away from a painting and I decide, no, I'm finished, and I rip it up and I have to do the whole fucking thing again, it doesn't make any sense. I'm just going around in circles. And that this PSG, they need to stick at this stage and go for something that's going to work. And what's going to work is young, French, and and tactically having a style and saying this is how we play. In all the games. I'm not.
Yeah, and then also saying, having a manager like this. Having a manager as well that carries a bit of weight within a squad. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But nobody's going to carry enough weight for Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi.
No, well, those guys have to go.
Doesn't matter who goes in there.
Those guys have to go.
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, what's that off your? PSG. What's that off your wage bill? By the way, is that 2.5 million a week, something like that?
Probably more.
Between the three boys,
do we ever really get the truth? It's always on the low side.
Like that could be 150 million off the wage bill with the three lads walking out the door, but including bonuses and goals and the whole.
I get the feeling with PSG they're going to need to move a lot of that out, and they're going to have kind of a reset for a couple of seasons, and have a plan that builds towards maybe season 2, season 3, or whatever it is before they really come back around with these players.
Absolutely. But I mean, even in the French league, the likelihood is they'll still win that year to year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But what they're doing is recycling themselves from a point of view of the Champions League, where next season, if we get out of the group, we've done well.
Yeah.
The season after, if we can get quarters, semis, we've done well. And then the year after we go and we put a challenge in with the same players that have played for the last 2-3 seasons, with the same kind of manager and with the same kind of set of tactics that everyone knows what, and that's how you do it. And that's what's
and if they come through under that manager and that stability's there, then you'll always have that respect there and stuff like that. You know, you won't go off the rails and lose your head.
Absolutely.
We'll take 2 comments and then we'll do beat the bookie. Yeah. Since that Barcelona 6-1 comeback in 2017, they've been jinxed ever since then in Champions League. Good point. Not a bad point at all. And game killer back in. Hopefully Bayern get Chelsea in the quarterfinals on Paddy's Day draw. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Bayern will take Chelsea out over 2 legs.
Yeah, I think this season they'd be too strong for them, wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
Just too strong. Chelsea going through a transition and stuff like that. But,
well, you know, my big issue would be, could Chelsea keep Bayern quiet for 2 games? Highly unlikely. Could Chelsea outscore Bayern? Absolutely not. Not right now.
We shall see. Right, beat the bookie. Kick us off. Give us your ones, because I know we've some tasty ones this week.
We sure do, you know. Right, okay. I've got 2 here for you. Which one we start with? We'll why don't we build in our prices? I like to do that, don't I? So I've gone with a result and any time. Sorry, I've gone with result and both score. Sorry, result and both score. So result and both score: Brentford away at Everton, Brighton away at Leeds, and Arsenal away at Fulham.
Interesting.
Have you gone for the same bet?
I've gone for 1/3 of it in the same bet.
Okay.
1/3 of it. I have Brentford in my one.
I got Brentford, Brighton, and Arsenal all to win and both teams to score 70-1.
Now, funny enough, you say that. Mine is 70-1 as well. Spot on 70-1 as well. We haven't shown these to each other either.
No, we haven't.
My one for comparison.
I did these. I only did these at 8 o'clock. By the way, look, you can see the time on the phone there, can't you? 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I went with ones that
Brentford.
fit in. Yeah, I went with Brentford in there, but the other 2 I went with as well are 2 that kind of fit in with what you were picking for your results. So I went with Brentford, Tottenham, and Chelsea. And that yields 70-1 as well. It's a nice bet, like, not too bad.
Yeah. Now, what would it pay if we stuck the 5 together? I'll tell you how much it'll pay. No, it'll be more than that. It'll be way more than that. Yeah. Let me look at the prices here. What do you have the price of Chelsea and Spurs?
I don't. I only have the full price. I don't have the breakdown.
Where let me just have one look here. Chelsea are away. Am I right?
I think so, aren't they? Hang on, I can bring up our slide.
Chelsea are away at Leicester, right? So result and both score. Chelsea are probably going to be a minimum of 3-1. 3 or 72. You're right. And then who's the other one? Spurs are home 6-4.
I think both of them are 4-1. I think both of them are 4-1 actually. Spurs wouldn't be now, but Chelsea were 4-1.
Chelsea are probably about 3s or so. Yeah, maybe 7-2 even. I reckon if you put all 5 of them in, yeah, I reckon you'd have close to 1,000-1.
Jesus, might be worth doing that then.
And I will make that bet up when I go upstairs, and I will send it to you for the comments.
Excellent. We'll throw it in.
So I will stick Spurs and Chelsea result and both to score in with the 3 I have, yeah?
Yeah. Excellent. We'll take a look at that. Tidy bet anyway for the treble.
Tidy bet. Now, here's my other bet. This is the one that I said to you. Week to week, I generally look at my bets and think, this is a great bet. I don't necessarily think it's a great bet, but I don't necessarily think it's a terrible bet. It's got huge odds, right? It's bigger than the 70. So that'll tell you where we're on this, right? It's an anytime goal scorer bet. And I'm going to talk you through my choices here, all right?
Yeah.
First one I'm going with Alexander Isak at Newcastle. Because I think Newcastle are home against Wolves.
Yeah.
I think the boy Isak has struggled to get off the bench in the last few weeks, but when he has, he looked very, very bright. He was really bright when he came on against us. He was bright last weekend and stuff.
Should be
I
starting.
think the boy Alexander Isak should start, and I think if he does, he's due a goal. So I'm going with Alexander Isak.
Yep.
I thought the boy in Wemo was very, very good Monday night for Brentford, but didn't necessarily get his just desserts. But again, I think Brentford are going to have lots of chances this weekend. And rather than going for Tony, I've gone for the boy in Wemo. I've gone with a really, really informed player, and that's Matoma at Brighton.
Yes.
Again, playing against Leeds. Right? Again, playing against Leeds. We know Leeds are going to cough up a couple of chances. This kid's had a goal and an assist in the last 6 or 7 games, I think. He's flying.
Yeah,
right?
I highlighted
Absolutely
him and
flying.
McAllister on the Monday night show, that they were both sublime at the weekend.
Yeah. And I round out with a guy who didn't get any minutes tonight. But because he didn't get any minutes tonight, I think we will see him at the weekend. And when we see him at the weekend, I think he'll come off the bench probably, and he'll get one for us late on. And that is one Alejandro Garnacho. So I've gone, because we're home against Southampton. So I've gone with Alexander Isak, Brian Mbeumo, Kyoto Matoma, and Alejandro Garnacho. And that's 90-1.
That's a very good bet. Nothing of a stretch there, really. Interesting. I went with a little safe one at 10-1, 4 aways. I put in there Liverpool, Brighton, Brentford, and Man City. I put in a 10-1 just to have a small one. But I did another one, which is your favourite, both teams to score.
If you could have a 10-1 winner, right, you'd be up by the end of the weekend, no matter what the other bets do, right?
Absolutely.
So to have a safety net is not a bad idea.
Yeah. So I did your favourite bet as well, both teams to score and result. But the result I have for these 3 is draws.
So your 3 draws and both to score.
3 draws and both to score, yeah. So I went
with... So you've gone with... I'm going to call them out here. You've gone with Fulham.
Correct.
You've gone with West Ham.
Correct.
And you've gone with Newcastle.
Correct. Great show. What do you reckon the odds are?
That was impressive, wasn't it?
That's very impressive. And I didn't show it, and you can't see it off.
No, I can't see it. No, I can't see it.
You can read me like the book. I do like the draws.
Yeah, you do. Well, listen, if I was looking at games for draws, those 3 would certainly be high on my list.
They were the ones you called as being tight. Yeah, so
they were the ones I called as being tight. I think West Ham Villa could absolutely end up in a draw. I think Arsenal Fulham will be as tight as a duck's arse, but Arsenal might nick it. I think the same as the Newcastle Wolves game. But if they were all 1-1 draws, would I be shocked? Not at all. For that, you are getting 3 3 9. You're getting 32s. What?
112-1.
112s
to 1 for both teams to score and 3 draws. I think that's a
well, Fulham will bump that, I suppose. Yeah, it won't be the usual 3s, maybe 5s, maybe something. Right, okay.
It's a nice bet.
It's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I knew you'd like that one. You love the big odds.
Yeah.
And when it's not quite a stretch.
Loving it. If you can get good value and it's not a huge stretch, I'm all over this.
I just like the draw bets as well, because you can go a goal down and you're still in it. You know, that kind of way. You don't feel deflated, really. You know, that kind of way. So
absolutely.
That's why I tend to lean towards the draws and stuff like that. And the way things have been going these days, a number of draws have been coming up and stuff like that, so it could easily happen. So they were the 3.
Yeah, they sure
4
have.
aways: Liverpool, Brighton, Brentford, and Man City, 10-1. Both teams to score and result: Brentford, Tottenham, Chelsea. You're going to round that up into a 5-fold as well, aren't you? And you're going to show us it and see what the odds are. Should be electric.
I am. That's right.
I'm going
to have a little butchers at that.
Yeah, and both teams to score in a draw: Newcastle Wolves, West Ham Villa, and Fulham Arsenal, 112-1. That's it. Another show done and dusted in the bag. Big thank you to everyone. That's it. Big thank you to everyone in the chat. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Make sure you're liking on the video and hit that bell notification. Nearly all our shows now go out live. Also, check out my preview for the Bournemouth game. It's already up there on the channel. And of course, I'm dropping shorts on a daily basis. Lots of fun. Bit of poking on them at times and stuff like that, but still a lot of fun.
You drop your shorts on the daily.
On a daily basis.
You want to be careful before they start calling you Kyle Walker here.
Well, listen. You were privileged to experience that last Thursday, but the less said about that, the better.
Yep. And we've shared rooms together too, so you know.
We have. Absolutely. For our sins.
Oh, for our sins.
Until next time, a pleasure as always. Cheers, pal.
Thanks, brother.